Hello, horror hounds. My regular viewers, hello to both of you, will know that very recently I uploaded a video called Defending Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. In that, I explained that the only way I can watch those two movies is as one movie, like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, which would make it um, difficult to impossible for me to rank the franchise. But since I uploaded that, people like ranking videos, and I have been asked to rank the Halloween franchise previous to that explanation, and subsequent to it as well. So if you're coming fresh to this just to watch my ranking of the Halloween franchise, welcome, hello. Understand that there are very specific reasons why I don't split the two Rob Zombie movies. I will be treating Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2 as one movie in its own right. So, coming in at number 10. Hang on, you just said you were going to treat Rob Zombie's two movies as one movie. Yes, I am, but we've still got 10 in the list, so keep watching to find out why. But it's not going to cause too much controversy to find out that the worst movie, in my opinion, in the Halloween franchise is Halloween Resurrection. This would be the point where I would hold up the DVD or Blu-ray. I've actually owned Halloween Resurrection twice. I owned it, when it came out to watch it. I don't think I watched it at the cinema, to complete my collection. I'm a completist. I know most of you are, even if you don't like certain films in a series, you'll want all of them. And then I was having a spring clear out and getting rid of lots of stuff that I didn't want anymore, and especially DVDs that I knew I wasn't going to watch anymore. And I got rid of Halloween Resurrection. I don't like it. It's shit. Then a couple of years passed, and I think I was rewatching some of the Halloween films, and it annoyed me that I didn't have all of them, even though I knew I didn't like Resurrection. It annoyed me that the collection wasn't complete on the shelf right over there. So I went and got a second-hand copy of Halloween Resurrection, not for very much. And that afternoon, I put it on to watch it again, to see if time had mellowed me towards it. And about halfway through, I couldn't even finish watching the film. I ejected the film, put it back in its case, and took case and disc outside. I wasn't going to have it in a bin inside my house. I went outside to the bin. That's trash can to my US viewers. To the bin outside, and threw it away half watched. And I haven't considered rebuying it again, no matter how cheap. It's utterly fucking ludicrous. For a start, the get out of jail card of oh no, Laurie didn't really cut Michael's head off, she cut some other dude's head off, is fucking nonsense, but I suppose necessary in some ridiculous way to have the film exist, which it shouldn't exist in the first place. It's fucking awful. She chops off some ambulance dude's head, and then to add insult to injury, this amazing character, one of the greatest final girls ever, Laurie Strode, spends the intervening time in a psychiatric institution just waiting for Michael to turn up, and then Michael kills her, and then that's not even the worst thing about it. Tyra Banks and Busta Rhymes aren't even the worst thing about it. The jumping on the found footage, trying to stay current, people with cameras wandering around, reality TV show broadcast on the internet isn't even the worst thing about it. Busta Rhymes Kung Fu and Michael isn't even the worst thing about it. Worst of all is that this film has the gall to rip off Michael Powell's 1960s film Peeping Tom with one of the kills, with the camera tripod kill. It's ripped straight out of Peeping Tom, a far superior film. If you've come here to hear my thoughts on the Halloween franchise and you've never seen Peeping Tom, do yourself a favour, watch a smart, slick killer movie, psychological thriller, killer thriller that came out before Psycho. Is probably better than Psycho, ruined Michael Powell's career, whereas Psycho elevated Hitchcock's career. Halloween Resurrection chooses to rip off a far superior film. Halloween Resurrection isn't fit to lick Peeping Tom's boots. Halloween Resurrection isn't fit to lick the soles of Peeping Tom's boots. Halloween Resurrection isn't even fit to lick the soles of Peeping Tom's boots. If Peeping Tom had been out all day wading through raw sewage, Halloween Resurrection is shit. The number 9 spot was going to go to Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, but rewatching them through, I found I enjoyed that more than I expected to. And one of the others I rewatched, I found myself enjoying a lot less than I expected to. So we did a little switcheroo, and now filling the number 9 spot is the boring Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Tuck your mask in, Michael. I can't, maybe it's just an OCD thing for me. I just want to go up to him like a mother and tuck his collar in. Tuck your fucking mask in. Have some self fucking respect. The mask looks goofy as fuck, and with the collar coming out all the time, it looks even worse. The film's got bumbling cops in it. Bumbling cops with their fucking theme tune in a Halloween movie. The script, I believe, was written in 11 days so that the clown who wrote the script could get it finished and done before a writer's strike. And boy, does it fucking show. The movie's got no pacing. It's boring, which is the worst crime for any movie. There's the introduction of the thorn symbol on his wrist and the man in black. It's got Michael in an old man mask driving a girl around for cigarettes. The whole tattoo, man in black, spur wearing, non-ending of the film practically screams to be continued. This is basically a placeholder film. Hang on a minute, we want to get a Halloween film out into the cinemas. Hang on, we've got a story we want to tell, but bear with us. We'll work out what that is after we've finished fleecing you for this film. Probably the worst aspect of it is what they do to Dr. Loomis. A lot of people complain that Dr. Loomis is a hateful figure in the Rob Zombie movies, that Rob Zombie has fucked over the character of Dr. Loomis, done the character a disservice. And yes, that Dr. Loomis is egotistical, self-centered, and he is a fucking arsehole. It's painful in this film to watch Donald Pleasance's Sam Loomis be turned into a prick, and he's a prick in this film. He's horrible to young Jamie. Poor Danielle Harris. I mean, he's just absolutely horrible to her. Right up to the very end, where he's literally dangling a 9-year-old girl, or 8, depending on your timelines, dangling her like bait in front of a serial killer while she's screaming. He's not let her in on the plan or anything like that. He's an absolute fucking prick in this film. So the Halloween franchise has shit on Dr. Loomis and shit on the character of Laurie way before Rob Zombie got his hands on them. It's painful to watch Donald Pleasance have to be this kind of arsehole as Sam Loomis in this film, in between just the most ridiculous sub-Friday the 13th, let's all run into the barn and roll around in the hay and get stabbed up. Boring nonsense. I did not enjoy watching it at all. So for the 8 and 7 spots, 2 different versions of the same movie. The theatrical release, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, and what's known as the producer's cut of it, Halloween 6, the producer's cut, asking me to put one of these above the other is a little like asking me which bit of dog shit I prefer to step in. I'll be perfectly honest. Whilst I enjoyed Halloween 6 more than I thought I would on rewatching, that's why it's moved up the pack, moved past Halloween 5. Both versions of this film are really nonsensical. The reason it beats out and I didn't hold it up. The reason it beat out Halloween 5 is because there's a much nicer tonality to the film. There are sections of it that feel more like a Halloween film, more like this is something that's followed on from John Carpenter's first film. This is the film that, whichever version you look at, the version where Michael kills Jamie Lloyd, or whether Michael just seriously injures her, and later on in the hospital the man in black shoots her in the head. This is the film that does, yet again, takes a heroic figure from the franchise and shits all over them. Also, now, if it's not bad enough, Michael going from stalking and killing teenagers to then moving on to a little girl, 7 or 8 year old girl, he's now after a baby. He's after Jamie's baby. Depending on which cut you look at, it's just a baby, which, you know, does this not detract from Michael somewhat? Is, you know, trying to track down and kill a baby by this point, is this not getting a little pathetic? Either Jamie's baby, or in the Whistles and Bells producers cut, Jamie and Michael's baby, Jamie and Michael's incest rape baby. I'm happy that they used the original music in the producer's cut. I'm sure it's just because it was easy to use that as a temp score rather than the score from the theatrical cut. It did help it feel even more Halloween-y. I think John Carpenter's score over the years has bandaged up quite an awful lot of cracks in some of these sequels to make them feel more Halloween-y. I think his theme and original score have done a lot of heavy lifting in a lot of subpar sequels. It's a film that raises a few questions, certainly. So people who know the film well will know will know what I mean when I ask how he got the DJ wrapped in fairy lights up the tree without being seen. Why, once he's killed the mother out in the garden, does he decide to do the laundry? I can understand him hiding the bed sheets covered in blood. Why does he decide to do the laundry with it? The truck driver at the start, Jamie steals his car. Why did he get out of the truck in the driving rain, put a poncho on and get out of the truck to drink his beer? Why didn't he just drink his beer inside the truck? We're told on the radio that Halloween has now been banned in Haddonfield, and yet we get scenes of loads of kids going trick-or-treating. It would be just too easy to pick holes in either version of these films. Ultimately, I will edge the producer's cut ahead. So the theatrical cut is 8 and the producer's cut at 7. For the very reason that, at least as fucking goofy as the Curse of Thorn is, and as much as it defangs Michael and turns him into a puppet, at least if you watch the producer's cut, there's a coherent story there from start to end as to why Dr. Wynn is doing what he's doing. Mainly, the theatrical cut strips out all reference to Jamie surviving and being in the hospital and the man in black kills her, and it strips out as much reference to the Curse of Thorn as possible, leaving Dr. Wynn looking like a real goofy bastard who's ahead of a sanitarium, you know, a psychiatric institute, but at the end dealing with some sort of weird genetic fetus thing with loads of syringes full of what looks like Dr. Herbert West's glowing green reagent. And if that's the case, if it's some sort of scientific thing to do with pure evil, why is he wearing all the goofy robes and shit like that? So, just for being more badly butchered than one of Michael's victims, this is, in my opinion, slightly worse than this. At least this has a coherent storyline, even though that storyline is goofy as fucking shit. I'd say Halloween 6 is the first franchise killer. After Halloween 6 came out, they literally were backed into a corner, had fucking nowhere to go. H20 had to ignore it. I'd say Resurrection after that is the second franchise killer. After that, they had to reboot the whole fucking thing. And depending on your feeling, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 may well have been the third franchise killer because the whole thing has stalled since then. Anyway, with no one really being able to decide whether to continue from there, ignore it, soft reboot it, or whatever they're doing, and it's still up in the air as to what the fuck's going to happen with the next film. At number 6 then, just missing out on the top half of the list, is H20, 20 years later. I think all of the criticisms of this film are pretty much fair. At the time when it came out and I went to see it at the cinema, I loved it, but it is of its time. Kevin Williamson's fingerprints are on it. It is a little screamy. It is a little Dawson's Creeky. It is very much of its time, and time hasn't been kind to those aspects of the film. That said, it's obviously made with attention to detail and love of the series. It's great to see Marion Chambers back as the nurse. It's great to see her do everything right at the start and still die. That was nice with her in the house next door, with the cops going to her house, the wrong house. That's a fairly screamy death. I could see Ghostface doing that. There's nothing particularly Michael about it. But straight off the back of that, there's a really nice homage, I feel, to the character of Dr. Loomis and Donald Pleasance with his wall of Michael research and his words. I guess they had to get another actor to do his words. It sounds a little off, but I guess I don't know why using his original dialogue they might have had to have ponied up more. It's a shame it's not his voice, but there you go. You can't have everything. I love the cop there grounding it and saying, having the conversation that we're all thinking, how the fuck can Michael still be around after all this time? And the cop basically saying, he's younger than I am. Michael Myers is younger than I am. I really like the dumbwaiter sequence at the school. I think that's nice. I really, really like the sequence with the kids who got through the gate but dropped the keys, and there's the gates between them and Michael. I love Laurie chopping his fucking head off at the end, and the whole final confrontation at the end, which is basically something you never see in one of these slasher movies. The whole, she goes to stab him again. No, don't stab him again. He's already dead. And then all the ambulances and the cops come, and he's getting zipped up, and you're just thinking it's going to wrap up like every other fucking slasher movie you've ever seen. But no, she pulls a cop's gun on him. She steals the coroner's van. She shoots him through the windshield. She fucking runs him over. She pins him to a tree, and she chops his fucking head off. How is that for ending a fucking show? And boom, I loved it. These days, almost another 20 years later, I'll be honest, it's a fast forwarder for me. When I was rewatching it, I found myself fast forwarding through the kids bits, the Dawson's Creeky, the screamy bits. It's got a really strong start. Jamie Lee Curtis is excellent in it. I love what they did with her character. And I love how she portrays that. So I wasn't fast forwarding through anything Jamie Lee Curtis was in, and then I was fast forwarding through to get to the kills and the bit at the end, and it really only ramps up in the final 30 minutes of the films. At number 5, and I know a lot of people would put this higher, but at my number 5 spot is Halloween 2. I recently rewatched this back to back with John Carpenter's original. It really doesn't bear comparison. It loses something for me, I think. This is the film that starts explaining away the mystery that was at the heart, the true horror that was at the heart of John Carpenter's original. A film that didn't really, let's be honest, ever need a sequel. But as soon as you started introducing the family element, this film sets us down a road which eventually sees Michael going after a newborn baby, which makes him look weak in my eyes. I mean, Michael walks past a guy with a ghetto blaster in this film, where a news report just happens to be on, telling him where Laurie's been taken. Oh, Laurie has a dreamy flashback in this where she's taken to meet Michael in the sanitarium. I mean, she doesn't need to, we find out about her relationship a different way through Nurse Chambers. So why she has to have this goofy fucking, her memory starts coming back nonsense, I don't know. Why is the hospital so empty? I know a lot of people ask that. It just doesn't, the setting doesn't really work for me. What's up with Ben Tramer? Poor Ben Tramer. In the first film, he's just mentioned as a guy that Laurie's got a crush on, and her friend, calls him to see if he wants to go out with her. And that's sort of the last we hear of Ben Tramer because the horrific night then happens. Later on that night, Ben Tramer is the kid that gets mistaken for Michael and hit with the police car and burnt alive. So the guy that Laurie's interested in that night of the original, first of all, is dressed up almost exactly like Michael Myers on the same night. And then he's pinned by a police car and burnt to death. And later on, we're expected to believe that a forensic dentist can tell the difference in age between, can age a body by its teeth from 17 to 21. No, this can't be 21-year-old Michael Myers because the owner of this teeth is 17. Absolute fucking nonsense. But it's just off. It's just off for me. It's a film that invites you to watch it straight after John Carpenter's original, and what really could bear up to that kind of scrutiny and that kind of comparison. At number 4 is The Return of Michael Myers. I had read that John Carpenter intended this, had a little bit of input into ways that this might go, and had intended it to be a little more ghostly, a look at the town of Haddonfield and how it deals with Halloween and the memory of Michael. But this is the time really where Mustafa Akkad, the producer of the series, wants Michael. Give me Michael. I love Michael Myers. I think it's an extra on one of these discs where he basically says, I love Michael Myers. Michael Myers will never die. I mean, he got stung bad with Halloween 3 and went to a default position that Halloween can only be Halloween if it's got Michael Myers in the mask, in the flesh, wandering around and killing people. And in this, he produces a really fun Halloween movie. MVP in this is Danielle Harris. She acts her little socks off in this. I mean, she's great anyway, but at this young age, she sells this movie. She really has to carry this movie. It's almost unbearable to watch her agony as an orphaned child going through what she goes through, even before Michael turns up. It's absolutely heartbreaking. It's only been trumped by the awful time the poor girl in Sadako 3D 2 of all movies goes through, where halfway through that movie I was basically screaming at the sky, someone give that little girl a fucking hug, she needs a hug. But Danielle Harris really helps make this something special. The gas stop scene where Loomis sees Michael, I love that look for Michael, the boiler suit with the bandaged face. I wish they could have kept that look for longer, if not the whole film as a substitute for the mask. The mask looks fucking goofy as fuck in this. The mask is awful. This is fun and easily rewatchable, so it makes number 4. At number 3 is, we've got high up now, haven't we? Drum roll. Is Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. If you want to know why I class these as one complete film with a 4-act structure and why I like them so much, please by all means check out my video called Defending Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. I really like them. Alone, I'll say this, I go into more detail in the other video. Alone, they're both uneven. Neither work, but both are strengthened by the existence of the... You can't understand this movie without having watched this movie. This movie is as a standalone movie, ridiculously unbalanced, but makes some kind of sense as the build-up, and then having this movie as the execution, the denouement, and the culmination, and then the ending. At Number 2 is Halloween 3. If this had been the second movie in the franchise and Michael Myers had been allowed to just disappear at the end of the first movie and never be seen again, and John Carpenter and Deborah Hill got their wish that, like the Twilight Zone, like the Outer Limits, Halloween would have been a banner to put on something thematic and put out a different movie each year. A little like what they're doing with Cloverfield now. So an idea way ahead of its time. I strongly believe that if this had been the second movie that came out and the third movie had been something else, and so we'd still be getting Halloween movies on a semi-regular basis to this day. And maybe part of that could have been an H20, something like that, revisiting one of the earlier movies. The digital jack-o'-lantern at the start as a sly little wink to John Carpenter's film, and the opening credits of the first two films, I love the idea that Conal Cochran uses the commercialization of Halloween against itself to try and bring back, the true meaning of Halloween. I've done a video, a really old one, defending Halloween 3, but you can find it if you search for Grumpy Andrew Halloween 3, where I talk in a lot of detail as to why I love this movie. It's getting more love. As each year passes, received wisdom that because it doesn't have Michael Myers in, its shit is falling by the wayside, and more people are coming back on board the love train, which is a Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. It's a fun fucking movie. Plus it's got Tom Atkins in it, boozing, shagging, and trying to prevent an evil Irish mask maker from snakifying the children of America. It's amazing, but obviously the number one film in the Halloween franchise is John Carpenter's Halloween. From intent to execution, many films change over that developing period. Compromises have to be made. Actors that you want can't come on board, so you get alternate actors. Script rewrites because of budgetary changes or budgetary concerns. La 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 la. This film feels to me like the execution was as close to the intent that John Carpenter and Deborah Hill had than most films I've seen. The film is a shark. There's no superfluous energy, no wasted motion. Nothing's done without a purpose. It's sleek, it's lean, it's efficient. It sets out to do one thing and one thing only, and it does it practically to perfection. John Carpenter's Halloween makes our number one spot in a move that will shock absolutely no one, but maybe this kind of certainty is what we need in such uncertain times. I hope you've enjoyed this ranking. If you disagree with me, please don't throw anonymous insults at me on the internet. I have a fragile ego, and it would hurt my feelings.